Good morning, everyone. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Please do me a favor and put your cell phones on silent. That would help us get through the meeting without too much interruption. So again, I want to officially call the meeting to order for the 2023 annual meeting. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So the appointments for today's meeting, the recorder will be Linda Martin. The parliamentarian will be Bruce Wright. Timekeeper is Tom Schwartz. Sergeant at Arms is Chief Tim Robinson. And the teller is Tom Piatti. You can record that in the minutes. Next item on the agenda is the presentation of the annual Sam Wilkerson Volunteer Award. Debbie.
Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
Yeah, it's a lot of people here today. Thank you guys for coming out. This is great. This is great. So what I do every year is I give out a Volunteer of the Year award for the Sam Wilkinson honoree. He was a young boy that unfortunately passed in an accident in Ocean City, and his father volunteered for us and did a lot of programs and sports and leagues and things for us. So we started this a long time ago, and every year we try to reach out to different volunteers to get them to help us with our leagues and classes and sports and things of that nature. And this year we decided that there was a group of people that do a considerable amount for Ocean Pines. They do a lot of work for the recreation department. And they give back to our community. So I'm going to read a little bit for you, and then we'll present the award. The Kiwanis Club of Ocean Pines, excuse me, is now 43 years old, having founded in 1980. The club is part of a worldwide service organization of men and women who share the challenge of community improvement. Members of the club contribute their time and energy, helping those less fortunate with unfortunate than themselves, with a heavy focus on the children in our community. Raising funds is only part of the job. Members can be found assisting many local organizations as well as sponsoring clubs in several of the county public schools. Everyone has heard of the Key Club at Stephen Decatur. That's the youth program in a certain portion of the Kiwanis, and have an active group there with those that they always reach out and help in the community with the Kiwanis as well. Giving back to the community and bringing the community together is what the Kiwanis are all about. Kiwanis meet on Wednesdays in the Assateague Room, and they do welcome anybody to come and attend their meetings, and they do welcome new members. The club financially assists numerous community organizations and has a foundation that helps supply scholarships to Worcester County High School graduates heading to college or technical school. At different times of the year, they are toy collectors, food collectors, school supply collectors. Sometimes Kiwanis are asked for special items such as toothpaste and toothbrushes for the homeless and clothing for infants. They can always be counted on to supply those needs when requested. Kiwanis are proud to participate in the Ocean Pines community. They have been around a long time and plan to continue to have a significant presence. And if you've never come to one of their pancake breakfasts, you're really missing out because they make some phenomenal pancakes. So today I would like to say thank you to the Kiwanis Club and have Bob come up and accept the award for the group. Thank you. Thank you for everything that you do for us. We really do appreciate the group. Smile.
Yeah, thank you very, very much for this. And this, like I said, I'm accepting this award on behalf of about 50 members that we have. And they will be very proud to see this. And we'll be around for a long time. So look for us and join us. As Debbie says, please come to our pancake breakfast. But you can see us in a lot of different places. So stop and say hi. Thank you, guys.
Next item on the agenda is the ascertainment of quorum. Teller, do we have a quorum for today's meeting?
Yes, we do. We have 135 people.
Up to the annual meeting. Next item on the agenda is approval of the agenda. I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda for today's meeting. This motion has been carried. Is there a second? Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor of the agenda for today's meeting, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is approval of minutes from last year's annual meeting. I'll entertain a motion from the floor for approval of the minutes from last year's annual meeting. Been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor of approval of the minutes from the last year's annual meeting, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Never mind. And please record that was approved. Next item on the agenda are the reports. The first one is our legal report. Who's right?
Morning, everybody.
Good morning.
My name is Bruce Wright, and I'm with the firm of Ayers, Jenkins, Gordy, and Allman. We were just retained in approximately May of this year. So I don't yet have a lot of activity to report, but I want to tell you a little bit about the firm. My firm was established actually this year, 50 years ago, 1973, in Ocean City. We have represented since 1983 the town of Ocean City. We currently and previously represented the town of Snow Hill, and we've represented for some decades the Worcester County School Board. So we are happily accustomed to representing important institutions in this local area, just like Ocean Pines. We also have for many years, currently and have for many years, have represented condominium associations, HOAs, not only here in the Ocean City area, but also in Salisbury and as far away as Easton. We are presently 11 lawyers. That's 8 partners, including myself, and 3 associates. We will take a team approach toward fulfilling the legal needs of Ocean Pines. I will, of course, be principally involved along with my co-counsel and partner, Maureen Howard, who is the former Worcester County attorney and has a lot of experience representing community associations. We have 3 associates who will also be used as needed to help staff the legal needs of Ocean Pines. And of course, I've got 7 other partners other than Maureen who will scrub in, as needed to assist, depending on the nature of the issue that's involved. As general counsel to Ocean Pines, for those that aren't familiar, we will provide the full array of legal services to Ocean Pines that it needs, including representing Ocean Pines in litigation. Hopefully there won't be very much of that, but we will represent Ocean Pines in litigation. We will provide general advisory support to the general manager and all of the departments of Ocean Pines. We, of course, represent the board and provide advice to the board on governance issues and other issues. We will provide employment-related advice, and as I said, advice to all the other departments of Ocean Pines. We will assist with contract and transactional work that Ocean Pines has from time to time. And of course, we will represent Ocean Pines in the assessment collection work that has to be done. We have a department within our firm that is devoted to that type of work. We do that kind of work for dozens of condominium associations and HOAs. So we're well prepared to do that kind of work. So we're happy to provide all of these services, by the way, at 2/3 the rate of our predecessor. So we're hopeful to be a lot more cost effective in delivering these services to Ocean Pines and its members. And really looking forward to a productive relationship between one of the oldest law firms on the Eastern Shore and the largest community association on the Eastern Shore. So we're very, very proud to serve in this capacity going forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bruce. The next item, the next report on the agenda is the auditor's report. Chris Hall. I think Chris is online, if I'm not mistaken.
Hey, good morning. Can you hear me okay?
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Good morning, everyone. Both of those in person, those online. Sorry, I couldn't be there in person today. Had something unexpectedly come up. So again, my name is Chris Hall. I'm a CPA. I'm a partner in the accounting firm UHY. For those that have seen me before, our firm used to be called TGM Group. Just a little history. We merged our firm in a few years ago with UHY. Still based here on the shore, but now we're part of a larger firm. We're the 28th largest firm in the country, so we have a lot of resources and expertise behind us. Was one of the reasons for merging our firm in with them. So, but we still have our office right here on the shore, same people, same staff, same partners, with just a larger organization behind us. So what is UHY engaged to do? We're engaged to be your independent auditor. And as part of that is we need to audit and render an opinion on your financial statements each year. So your financial statements consist of 38 pages, and it's comprised of an audit report, your basic financial statements, supplementary information, and required supplementary information as required by the accounting standards. The most important part of our audit for those in attendance, all the members of the association and the board, is our audit report. And that's on the next slide. So just briefly about our audit report. It consists of 3 pages. It's the one page that's on our letterhead, because that's what we're required to do, is give an opinion on your financial statements. So the components of the audit opinion, the very first paragraph is our opinion. And I'm pleased to report that the association received a clean, unmodified opinion on its financial statements. That's the highest level of assurance that any independent accounting firm can give. After that, the audit report goes through what's the basis for the opinion. Well, we got to comply with all the accounting and auditing standards, and there are a lot of them. The next part is the responsibility of management. Management is responsible for preparing the financial statements. Our responsibility is to audit the financial statements. After that, I just want to talk a little bit about the process, because it is very time consuming, both not just on the auditor side, but as well as the Ocean Pine staff. So we start this process late April with our planning and risk assessment procedures in accordance with the auditing standards, documenting our internal control documentation and procedures. We also come out and perform inventory counts, test counts at various locations at April 30, since that's your year end. Send out various confirmations, both on cash accounts to local financial institutions or wherever your money is held. Normally after Memorial Weekend, so late May, early June, the nuts and bolts of the audit starts, which we call year-end field work. So we come in and test your balance sheet. We come in and perform transactional testing on cash, receivables, inventory, property and equipment, accounts payable. We do income statement testing. So we test your revenue, your dues. We test sample, we do gross profit analysis for your amenities, expense transactional testing. So there's a lot of work that goes on during that period of time. After we finish that, July is normally what we call our wrap-up procedures. We prepare the financial statements. Management, we have to prepare our management reviews them, accepts responsibility for them. They go through the review process, both on the management side, as well as on our side. I'm the primary partner reviewer in accordance with the standards in both our internal processes. We have a second partner review for quality control standards. So that whole process usually wraps up somewhere around the end of July in order to meet the time frame for the meeting today or 2 weeks ago normally, in accordance with your requirements. So that's kind of an overview of the audit and the process, in our opinion. I'm not going to talk a lot about the numbers. I know your general manager and CFO will talk about the numbers, so I was going to just talk about the opinion and the process. But I'd like to thank everybody for their cooperation during the audit, both the general manager, the CFO, and their staff. Without their cooperation, it'd be very difficult to meet the timeframe and the timeline. So I want to thank everybody for their cooperation. Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is the president's report. Bring up some of the accomplishments that the board had this past year. At the beginning of the fiscal year, we worked with the GM and the Budget and Finance Committee to approve the fiscal budget for the year. Kudos to both the GM, his staff, and the members of the Budget and Finance Committee for the hard work they did in getting us to where we were with a budget that had a very minor increase in the assessment and will certainly serve us to meet all of our operational needs. Another item that came up was the Jenkins Point project. I don't know how many people are aware of that. This, the white condominiums at the yacht club. At the time there, we worked very closely with the Maryland Coastal Base Program to help us get funding for that. And that project is ongoing. It's going to take the better part of a year and a half. It's going to be, I guess, dredging and building in some of the stuff so that whole area is protected from the waves and other things like that. So that's, and again, kudos to the Maryland Coastal Base Program. We will continue to work with on other funding opportunities going forward. Another thing that was recommended to us by our general manager was the repairs and upgrades to the gas pier at the docks. It was sorely needed, not only from a functional perspective, but from a safety perspective as well. That place has now met all the safety requirements and is now operating, as it should be. And kudos to the folks that did that work. It was no surprise that we also worked to hire a law firm. Like in any good organization, you look at your goods and services that are provided over the years and you reassess them over time. It's not that we were having any kind of problem with our other law firm. They served us very well over the years, but it's good corporate practice to look at opportunities to reassess that environment and make any changes you feel are necessary. So we brought on, as Bruce said, we brought on his firm to continue to represent Ocean Pines as we move forward. And I think to hopefully nobody's surprise and everybody's delight, we extended the Matt Ork contract. That has been very beneficial. I don't need to say anything else about that. Anybody that's been to the yacht club. Yeah. So I see Matt back there. So Matt, kudos to you and your group who served those times well. And I would hope that the board moving forward, the benefit that is Matt Ork beverage operation in mind. Go forward with that. Next slide, please. So this is more along, since safety was one of the most important things in the survey that we did last year with the guidance of the GM, the suggestions by the GM, we wanted to make sure we focused on the police departments. You can see John had worked up a lot of different options for making it beneficial to have for both recruitment and retention of police officers. So the package was changed and made it much more attractive to have officers here serving the Ocean Pines community. So that was very well. We also approved the use of body cameras. That was something that was a purchase that we made. Certainly, and I don't know if it's an absolute requirement right now, but I know that it's probably going to be a requirement. So we wanted to stay in front of that and provide and make that expensive to provide those body cameras. We also added 3 new police vehicles this year. Just, as another incentive as the officer corps grows. I think one of the benefits recommended to us was the fact that the take-home program for a police vehicle is getting a benefit. Certainly fell into that recruitment and retention portion of focus on. And then obviously I think the biggest news right now is we have a new chief of police, Tim Robinson, and thanks to John and his team who coordinated it. Next slide. So just one more thing. I know that It's always good to have people that have stepped up, volunteered, and worked for the community. I just wanted to again recognize Frank Daly and Glenn Olney for their work they've done over the years. I also want to make sure that we don't forget about the advisory. Got 14 advisory committees, and those people work just as hard as everybody else to make sure things that they see around the community are brought up forward for consideration. I can tell you, I've been liaison on a couple of committees, and it's really good work. It should be commended for not only the time they put in, but their volunteer efforts. I want to make sure they got recognized. And then, on a personal note, I just want to congratulate the new directors that have been elected. Carry on with business. I think we're in a pretty good spot right now, so we're looking forward to continuing to support Ocean Pines in the way we do. Again, for another personal note, it's been an honor and a privilege to have been elected to serve this community over the past 7 years. And I just wanted to recognize that and thank folks that supported me during that time. So I appreciate all the help that I got in my tenure here. So.
Thank you, Doug. Yeah, so before I start, I just want to recognize Michelle Ross, Administrative Assistant to the General Manager Office. She did do a lot of heavy lifting on this report for me. I should start off with pretty much info@oceanpines.org. You've heard me talk about this for the last 5-6 years. I can tell you this year has probably been utilized by the association more than ever. Very constructive, very positive. We've been able to put together repository responses, which gives us efficiencies on this. Questions definitely see my office. Appreciate the support of the team. Okay, so I always start off with more or less the agenda. It's basically the initiatives that we've done, that the team has done in association over the past year. You've heard me talk about this, present to the board, and to the association, each one at the board meetings. Today, I'm going to put it all together for you to summarize it. During the year, I gave you the cost, the budget, basically those on budget were in there. And I think it's been done pretty efficiently. I will tell you, I will take it today during this presentation to show you actually what we've done. Before I start, I just want to say a couple things. 6 years ago, the first time I presented here, we had negative results. We don't want to go through it again. But I stood up there, I did a presentation, I came in and they asked me to do it. And I just remember looking around saying, in my head, as it probably said, hey, this might be the best, this might be the worst of times, but it also might be the best of times. When I did that, because I really believed in everybody in the board and everybody else team. I believe we had the best of times over the last 5 or 6 years. With that, if you come away with something today, you will come away with a lot. We have something special, we really do. And I hope you all realize that. The amenities, the results, everything you're hearing today, the team, the board, what our financials look like. We really do have something special. Today, I just want us to focus on key items, what we've done, where we've spent money over the years. We've definitely jump-started the bulkheads program, the roads program. We initiated the replacement and repairs of the mailboxes. Much money was spent on that, what the budget was allocated to that, more reallocation of efficiencies. We focused on drainage, we certainly focused on maintenance and our infrastructure. I'm going to show you that today. Page. Next page. Okay, so let's start off with the one. It's one of our big amenities. You can see the work that we did here at several schools this year. Just swimming back, we roofed, I've reported on those for the year. We roofed there, we've replaced a lot of roofs at this aquatics over the last couple of years. The fences, that was the fence at the yacht club, that needed a lot of work for years. The team was able to put that together. To rectify it, the big win, that yacht club is beautiful. Edge. The beach club, certainly a gem in our portfolio. You can see a lot of the maintenance, the palm trees, I think have a nice effect. I know the board instructed me to increase the amount of palm trees, and it's certainly the right move. We have repairing, painting, the boardwalk, we've kept it, I think it's in good shape, as well as that building. Just to put everything in perspective over there, I'm not going to go into a lot of numbers here, and then we'll go into the financials. But if you look at the beach park, beach parking, what we have there, what we make operational a year, between the beach club, the restaurant, the parking, we probably make about 730,000 operational. A big number. It fuels a lot of stuff we do. I think it's a gem. I know a lot of board members have talked to me about what they want to do, some ideas. It certainly is a gem, and I hope we keep it where it is. Clubhouse, so you're obviously sitting there, taking it all in. I mean, we did do this about 5-6 years ago. It's one of the first items that we did. The whole accordion doors and how it's opened up today. That was the vision, the concept, and what everybody worked at. It's certainly working. The acoustic tiles put it all together, and I think we have a real nice place here. For about 1.4 plus whatever we put in it over the years. The grill, Judy, Matt, this Matt back there, and this Judy doing a great job. The breakfast, the numbers are coming in, the numbers are going up each year. We have the NFL ticket. I hope everybody comes to see what it's a good experience. Something good going on with you. On the page. That's a good segue meetings off. 6 years ago, I first came on board, golf course, the greens. I was tasked, what are you doing about the greens? What are you doing about the fairways? I was like, oh, that's 10, 15 years of whatever. You look at these winters today, you play this golf course, and I can tell you, many of our members, association members, are playing it. The numbers show it. It's top notch. Top notch. The numbers for golf. The last 2 months, I just to draw some numbers out there compared to July and August last year. Actual, probably up already 70, 80,000 first 2 months. Compliments to the golf team, everybody, board, everybody. So you can see some of the stuff we definitely invested in the golf course. Here's our team that's in place. We probably have the strongest team with lessons. You have Matt, Bob, many others here, John, Bob, Brian. So it's operating on those cylinders. We want to show it. That gazebo up at the top, just a little bit on that. That goes way back. There's a lot of history with that. It's a lot of iconic, but it was weathered. It was basically almost something that we could toss. The team spent time over the winter to put it back together. Did a really good job on it, but there's history there for a lot of golfers. I'm glad we were able to maintain it. If you look at just the gravel, maybe it's just gravel to everybody. We put a good base there. This will last many years now. Before we just put on the dirt. There's more attention to detail here. It's just not a big secret, but that's everything the team does. Everything that you do. Turn the page. Green T dots, and I also heard Doug talk a little bit about the gas dots, which Debbie and I hired this past year. I think he's doing a great job. The feedback that we've received from the surveys are all positive from the customer experience. We're seeing the membership grow for many reasons. I mean, certainly Tim's a part of it, and also all the work we've done down at the pickleball courts. New pickleball courts that we put in the beginning of the year, the maintenance, the amount of maintenance we put in on the old courts, and we continue to do. We have a maintenance program now. The fences, we did do that a little earlier, but the fences needed repair. That's all been done. We are looking at the racket sports building and what we can do, and I'm evaluating that at this time. Just put a patio in for the paddle tennis, and I think they're very happy with that, as well as shade structure. Turn the page. Okay, I talked about maintenance. Well, here you go. I mean, a lot of this maintenance had not taken place for years. So you can see just a little idea there of the type of work that we have done, all within the budget, which I'll talk about later on. But I definitely see a big improvement there, and hopefully everybody else does. Turn the page. Yacht Club, again, maintenance. The Yacht Club working with Matt, working with Public Works, working with outside vendors, contractors. I've spoken to you about this over the last few years. You know, if we're short manpower, people power, we have gone out and we've gotten contractors to work with us, certainly showing a difference in all the maintenance. Definitely at the Yacht Club, we brought in two different companies. One did the front, we painted it was all rusted, as well as the inside, the upstairs ceiling. I'm going to be working with Matt over the winter on a maintenance plan that we will work on January, February, March. We're already working on some of the stuff in the kitchen. Turn page. Police department. I know Doug talked about that. And we welcome Tim, and I certainly welcome Tim. I also want to point out Greg, Lieutenant Greg. Hopefully he's out there. Greg has been here supporting us for 40 years or whatever. He and his team, we were shorthanded, we still are. And I just want to compliment them on the work they have done. And also Tim's only been here a couple of weeks, but he's certainly hit the ground running. We had a game plan even before he came in. He's certainly executing it. I'm excited about working with that team over the next year or so. Doug talked about the take-home vehicles. I just want to highlight that. First of all, we needed that to be competitive. I was very appreciative when the board approved that. But that was an increased cost to the association. We reallocated expense budget that we had as savings efficiency somewhere else so that we can apply it there. On page. The bulkheads, we talked about that. We have a plan, a strategic plan. We just completed one. We're starting a new one. We have kept the cost down. I don't believe there's been an increase in the assessment for bulkheads over the last 4 or 5 years. Working on the page. Drainage and maintenance. So in this one in the top left corner, we did put some of the numbers. The numbers, a lot of times, numbers tell a better story even than the pictures. So if you look at the numbers top left, go down the bottom left corner, somewhere around 2013, 2014, you can see the amount in our budget in actual, how much we spent on drainage. That was 11,000. If you scroll up, even over the last 2 years, $1.1 million for the 2 years. Over the 5-6 years, you can see the numbers. All coming out of the assessment, which by the way has decreased over the last couple of years. Big win for the association, big win for the board, for the team. We will continue to do this. There's pipes that haven't been touched 30, 40, 50 years with the pipeline process that I've spoken about. You can see the top right. I've spoken about that before. These certainly help drive the efficiencies and help being able to work on these pipes, see the flow of water going out of ocean ponds. Definitely, we witnessed it. Without ripping up all the roads, third page. In roads, we've been consistent 3 miles a year, pretty much within that ballpark, and we will continue to do that as part of the plan. The striping, which is illustrated on the left, and then arrows, that was all feedback I received from focus groups, whatever. I think the contractor board was with the job. I think the last time. Certification. But it's one of the work groups, and you know, I talked about work groups instead of starting, putting them together. That's one of the key ones we have right now. The firehouse, which is big, which I hope to be coming forward, along with that work group, who has representatives, Russian Fire Department, Fire Department, everybody working together, along with volunteers, Ted up there, Pete Donstadt, Frank Brown's not in there, Dave, Steve, of course, Eddie, for the staff. That work group, I believe, has a very good story to tell in October. It's good results as well as options and a recommendation that I would make to the board, White House. So again, with the maintenance this year, what we did, we focused on during the winter, utilized public works and bringing in outside contractor. The maintenance was extensive. I don't think we've done maintenance as long as I've been here, 20, 30 years. All the feedback we received were positive. It's a good job. Beautification, and, you know, I was hoping to have pictures of 2 new fountains at the Broad Gate for today. It didn't happen, but we are working on it. The supply chain logistics for other companies, but that is the plan. I hope to be here at one of the board meetings showing the pictures of 2 fountains at the North Gate. Put the cherry blossom trees at the South Gate and the North Gate. We will continue to add to that landscaping, the weeding, just what they've done. And I'll talk about the North Gate Bridge. So we are trying. Definitely done more than I've seen in the past. We will continue. That will be the budget. Turn page. Okay, so I spoke about the mailboxes at the beginning, pedestals, that issue was led by Linda. Working with Public Works, certainly received way less calls. Info, which points out more questions on. I think we're making progress there. We do have a plan. Again, it's being funded at the budget. No increase. Page reallocation. So there it is, North Gate Bridge. Somebody just came up to me just before the meeting. It was said a lot of positive things. So we are working on that. The bridge trim, we're not done with that. Top railing, we still have to work on it. The flower boxes, obviously, we took down that guard shed, whatever, replaced it with that. The palm trees. It's a nice touch. Not getting as many info about what you're doing on it. Just sort of balance that. We'll continue definitely with the fall planting and then the winter, the different beams, the different species. So that's in there, and of course the lights and the lights okay. Okay, so this is one ties them all together. So I've talked about before, where were we 5 years ago? Again, I'm just going to breeze over, but you know, our operating deficit was 1.6 million. Bulkheads, drainage, and roads were not on track. Golf, aquatics, food, beverage, and rapid sports. Operating losses, huge operating losses. The infrastructure, well, you remember the old golf clubhouse, police station, the admin building, all the correct. Where we today, we certainly have an operating surplus. We reallocate the drainage, new capital, pickleball courts, one example, and of course the assessment. Surplus has been reinvested into assessment, reinvested into pickleball courts and other infrastructure. So it's not like it's just, you know, we're putting this somewhere that I've heard and I'm putting everything's on that balance sheet. We are reinvesting. Board is the team, everybody, the association. How are we trending? Are we trending favorable this budget this year? July 31st, I was very pleased to present that we're approximately 300,000 over budget. That money will be utilized for the next assessment. Or actually one after that, as well as reinvested into our infrastructure. That would be recommendations. We are addressing the firehouse. It's a big one. People are asking me about it. The work group that I talked about earlier, we will come forward to the board in October. We'll come forward with options. And I will make a recommendation to the board on what we should be doing, what it would look like, how we would fund it. Irrigation system for golf. These are big numbers. Irrigation for golf, the irrigation system here, some of it is 50 years old. Main lines and everything are well over 40 to 50 years old. The heads are probably 15 years, some of them even older, the heads, sprinkler heads. We're working with a designer on that. I should have something by November. That will be part of the next budget that we work on. There'll be recommendations to the board on the proposed budget for that. It'll probably be over 4 years. We'll just look at the golf course. The golf course operation being very positive. Even when you add in depreciation, I believe this year will cover that. We need this for it, and hopefully this goes forward. It will be over a 4-year period. Constantly, we receive advisory committee lists ongoing. We have been working on, I've been updating at the board meetings. They certainly keep coming in. We can glad to see that. As long as they're constructed, definitely are addressing them. We've done shade structures, walkways, and patios for racket sports. I mentioned that. We are working on the next stage of drainage, bulkheads, and roads, which you'll see over the next couple of months. The road program will be in September. We'll come forward with what we're doing there. We're working with the suppliers now, the contractors, as well as the drainage, bringing in that same company. But again, a lot of the main pipes have been addressed, and we're pretty much completing that. We are looking at the racket sports building evaluation. And we did at minimum, we're hoping to address dressing room situation down there, racket sports this next budget. The other thing is team backup and succession plan. We have worked on that, the entire team. And it shows in the results, it shows in the resources. And we're a stronger team on it. But there are headwinds, right? There are headwinds. We do have statutory wage increases, just like everybody, just like everybody. We're addressing. Of course, the state surveys that were taken, I believe it was Josh and his strategic planning team. One of the top items that we all read, right, about is the association wants safety. I want safety. Who wants safety? Everyone wants safety. Sure. It's one of our strengths here at Ocean Pines. But there is a cost to it. But that cost is nation. It's going up everywhere. When I look back 10 years ago, which I did on a couple items here in the store today, I was like, how much did safety cost us as a percentage in the assessment 10 years ago? It was approximately, just down for this today, it was around 22, 23%. 22, 23% of our assessment went towards fire EMS. Today, it's 35%. 35%, but that's everywhere. And quite honestly, I think we're efficient on it. And it's going to go up more everywhere throughout the country. We're working on that. We have a strong team in place. We do need a new firehouse. We're working on it. The budget will be a part of it. If you look at our assessment today, with this past year, what was it, 883? It's come down over $120, just rounding. Somebody would be exactly more sure it would be 10%. But it's come down, and we have funded, and rightfully so, the increase in safety. And I hope we continue to do it. We put in a pension equivalent for police, the cars that Doug talked about. It's all needed, it really is, to maintain talent. We have ourselves, I talked about Greg and Chief Robinson. Let's give them what they need. I know we will. That's it for me. Linda is going to do the financials as well as Steve. I think Steve's out there somewhere. Not in your service, but I'm very proudly hand off to Steve. Thank you very much.
Okay, first slide.
This is the financial audit results for fiscal year 2023, as mentioned in the auditor's report. Financial results were favorability of 1.1 million. You see on the slide there. Now this next slide ties into it. It's the amenities. Again, as you noticed, as I mentioned, profitable. Beach parking and the beach club averaging around 750,000 per year. And highlight also got golf and aquatics. Golf favorable as well as aquatics All favorable, 268,000 budgeted and 528,000. As stated before, the favorability of 1.1 million as of fiscal year 2023. Highlight, 5.8 million in assessment revenue and 1.6 million in amenities revenue, which I'll explain later. So next slide. Okay, as mentioned, outlined in the previous slide, the 1.6 million that was some variability in amenities. Food and beverage was 445,000, favorable 38,000, golf 320,000, favorable 31,000, aquatic 71,000, favorable 61,000, beach parking 528,000, favorable 8,000, marinas 230,000. Favorable, unfavorable 4,000. Racket sports ended up 6,000, unfavorable 1,000, and that leaves a total of 1.2 million 97,000 favorable. Okay, so this is shot on slide showing where your money is going. Assessments for assessments, general operations. We had a budget 784, we ended up with 725. Amenity operations, budgeted 116 net, ending at 189. The assessment, as you know, is 896 for fiscal year 2022-23, but with control expenses, we end up here with 700. Slightly further numbers. Okay, instead of gonna show where your money is going. Due to controls and expenses in all departments, in particular police, public works, rec and parks, which led to 725 actual at the end of the year for fiscal year 2022 to 2023. And again, as stated, for the assessments, again, this ties into the previous slides with the breakout of amenities, and that shows again where your money is going that you pay for your assessments. Okay, that moves on to Steve's slide. There you go.
There you go. Morning, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, so operating performance history. This gives you the last 7 years history of our realized surplus and our deficits. Obviously deficits, way back in FY 17-18, as John alluded to. You can see the last few years over $1 million in surpluses. This year, $1 million, 113,000 favorable to our budget. You can see the bottom line fund balance ties to our audit report, approximately $2.6 million. It also highlights the reserve transfers that were approved by the board, and also the budget process, the surplus to reduce the assessment. Next. 7 years of assessment history. You can see the favorable trend here the last 2 years. Obviously the reductions, we had the moderate increases back in 18, 19, 20. Last 2 years reductions down at 883 for the current year. Next. So fixed assets, obviously the largest category of our balance sheet, about $25 million investment in fixed assets. Pretty self-explanatory: cost, accumulated depreciation, net book value. All the categories pretty explanatory. Land improvements would be things such as parking costs, tennis courts, pools, bridges, all your non-building stuff. So you can see those large balances. And then our increase versus last year, our investment in fixed assets was up about $700,000 or about 3% on the balance sheet if you look at the audit report. And then last slide, just to put our projection out there right now at this point in time, based on everything that we currently see and talking to our department heads and John, and obviously whatnot. We have the estimate of our reserves, and it actually increases about 1.5 million based on our additions. Additions would include your contributions, but from assessments, but also your interest. Our interest is extremely favorable right now. And our bottom line shows about $7.7 million in the current, coming into the end of this current year. Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is unfinished business. We have no unfinished business from last year's annual meeting, so we'll move to the next item on our agenda, and that is new business. New business can be conducted in the form of bringing a motion from the floor that can be seconded and opened up for discussion. So therefore, the floor is now open for new business. So if anybody wants to come forward, make a motion for any type of new business, please do so now. If you want to make a motion, please come up here and make the announcement for a motion. I'll tell you what, can we just give it the microphone? Yeah. There you go.
Permission for new business. Anybody say?
No, you have to state the motion, content of the motions you want to make.
I don't want to make a motion for new business, but the condition.
Okay. So just a point of order. A motion is part of the decision-making process to take action. Okay, which is different from a discussion. So if you want to have a discussion on that, that's different. But if you're making a motion to have the association take some action, then that's the difference. So does that clarify things for you?
I guess the conditions of our canals.
All right, motion accepted. Is there a second to open up a discussion for the canals as stated? Say
I make a motion that we have a discussion about the environmental conditions of our canals.
Is there a second to opening up discussion for the addition of canals or canals? Is there? It's been seconded. Please record it's been seconded. All right, the floor is now open for discussion. I'll entertain the first discussion topic. Ma'am, would you like the floor?
Okay, yes.
Please.
My name is Karen Baldwin. We live back city recently. And we are constantly noticing how people cut their grass and like right into canals. And we see things like people throwing their cigarette butts. You'll have to excuse me for my language because I have MS and I have MS speech problem. But we volunteer for the Maryland Coastal Bays. And what we're doing to our canals are not healthy. They're not healthy at all. And when I see what people are doing, and we moved down here to be in this community because we thought it was a great place to live. But when I see people throwing grass clippings to the canal and lawn debris and cigarette butts, all kinds of trash, we're destroying our environment. We need to do something about that. It's not healthy. It's nitrogen is going and phosphates are going into the canal. And if you're, paddleboarding or getting in the water and have an open cut or sport, one of these days, really soon, somebody's going to get really, really sick. And I don't want to see that happen. And we've got to make people aware of this. I'm on the environmental committee, And we have articles all the time posting this, discussing this, but people don't seem to take a notice of it. And it really bothers me. And I posted something on Nextdoor about it. And a lot of people were interested in it. But what really bothered me was a lot of people thought our canals were healthy. If you ever set the water in the canals, it's the mud and the bottom of the canal is just terrible. And that's from when we have algae blooms and the blooms die off and settle on the bottom of the canal. And die off, nothing can grow in that. It's really, really unhealthy. And what is going to take for us to get to notice and do something about it? But I can't imagine what it's going to be like for the future of our grandchildren, their children. We've got to really think about this. We worry about the health of the golf course, but we don't think about the water. Some of us are oyster gardeners, and that's all well and good, but it's the few of us compared to the amount of families that live down here. So I just wanted to bring this up, that we have all these projects and everything, but nothing about the water, the health of the water. The bay was rated, last year they did the rating, and the bay was rated a C+. That's C+, that's not good. I mean, that's, but, somebody who's had an autoimmune disease like myself, that's not good at all. So I just want to bring that up to the board, that we think about. One of the most precious things in our community is the water. We worry about everything else, but we don't think about our water is.
Before, even though the motion does not require a course of action, I'll keep the floor open for discussion on this topic. Please be advised that limited to 5 minutes for any comments, further comments. Any other discussion on the topic brought up? Please. Come up to the microphone, please.
My comment is very brief, so I need to come up.
Yeah, because we want to make sure that everybody who's listening online will be able to hear the comments made.
Thank you.
Speaking the right.
My comment is simply, do we have any testing? And one of the first things the board should consider is the testing program with appropriate sampling. It may involve hiring an expert contractor, but this sounds like a serious problem. And I think most people would agree that it needs some attention.
Other comments on the top of the floor?
All right, can I stand at the mic? Is that good?
Yes.
Okay. Well, years ago, when I was on the environmental committee that you were on, we looked into this and looked into it a lot. Now, we do have testing of the waterways. I'm talking to everybody about that. There we go. We do testing of some of the waterways. As Sea Coastal Trust brings their boat around and tests by the Swim and Racket Club, they test by our boat ramp, and they test up in the St. Martin's River. But they would also do it up in the canals if we requested them to do that. Now, we have to pay for it. It's not really that much. It's like $1,500 a year. They do it all summer. But they have a program called Swim Guide. You can get it on your phone. And it tells you what the condition of the water is every Friday throughout the whole summer. So you know what's in it. The other thing we looked at are grass mats. There's a project up in Bethany at the end of all their canals where they're putting grass mats in that grow in the canals and feed off of all the phosphorus and take the debris out of the water. The project, they actually pay to get it done. They have students from one of the colleges bring the grass mats out, have them start growing, and they come and roll them up at the end of the season. So they can find out, and then with the testing and grass mat, there are a lot of things that we can do. We came up with 4 or 5 specific things back, and this has been, Jesus, how long has it been? I've been fired from every committee I've been listening. It's been like 8 years since I've been doing it, but I'd be happy to find the information in all my notes and come to the environmental committee and give you the details that I had from back then, because we were looking into it hard and heavy, because we really had some bad algae blooms about 7 or 8 years ago to the point that it would clog the canals. So there are opportunities and things that can be done, but if you go through the committee with the environmental committee, put together options, bring it to the new board members and say, this is what we want to look into, and see if we can get it. Now is the time to do it for next year, to get it in the budget so we can actually do something productive. If you wait until November, September, November, December, the budget's already done and there's no money left for it. So that's what I would recommend as being a former chair of the environmental.
Well said, Tom. Thank you. Ma'am. Not yet.
I don't have COVID, but there's an influx of COVID going around, so apologize for that. Caveating the lady that brought up this issue, it's not only the canals that and the water issues, it's our personal way of how we take care of our own homes. Many of us do have the gullies in between our homes, and the grass in many of our homes are just overgrown and have junk in them, and people do not take care of them. Myself and our family, you know, we hire an outside contractor to actually come in, and we pay our $45 every couple of weeks to have our grass cut and our gullies cleaned up. And so it is not only the water issues, it's how we take care of our own homes and taking pride of our own homes, especially for people who live here year round. There are people that do not live here year round, and they come back after a month or so, and the grass is piled up to here with junk and debris and everything. So I think that we have to take responsibility for how we take care of our own homes as well.
All right, seeing these are more of a discussion, unless there's something very relevant, very pertinent, I'm going to close the floor for discussion. Since it is a discussion topic, only no vote is needed, and I will continue to leave the floor open for new business.
Can I ask a question without a point of order?
Yes.
I'd like to know why we use North Star software instead of QuickBooks. I've been in business over 40 years.
Which one?
And I bought QuickBooks wholesale manufacturing, but it was under $1,000.
Let's do this. Can you please hold that comment for public comments? All right, because we will open the floor for public comments, and that is more to a public comment, which would be very beneficial. So if you wouldn't mind, this is new business right now. We can cover that under public comments. If you don't mind. Thank you.
I'll wait.
Sure. New business. Joe, you recognize me so much.
I'd like to make a motion that the kiosk sign at the north gate be converted to digital.
Stand by. Stand by. Is there a second? All right. The floor is now open for discussion. You had the first discussion.
This is something that the
Quiet, please.
Communications Advisory Committee has worked on this for several years. We were tasked by the board to see what the community felt about this, because there are, as is evidence, different opinions about this. Linda Hirchi and Bernie McGorry developed the survey. We did survey the community, and over 60% of respondents are in favor of converting that sign to electronic. Clearly, from what Mr. Viola tells us, we're in good shape financially. And so we believe that this is a worthy expenditure, and it's a step in the direction of the 21st century. We are only asking at this point that that particular sign be the one converted. We do have a follow-up plan for additional signs. We worked with the county to make this happen. And we do have a plan to have some additional signs in the future. We are not being required to remove all of the other existing signs, which I know was a concern to a lot of people. And so that's why we would like this to be given serious consideration. Thank you.
Thank you. Other discussion? Other discussion, please, on this topic.
I believe that John and the administrators of our community have earned our trust, and operational concerns such as how signs are managed should be left to their discretion.
Other comments on the motion that's on the floor right now? Other comments? Please.
Just want to say that I disagree with that last comment, because I think that the homeowner should have a voice in what kind of communication signs we have. And I've been kind of following the saga of these signs, but I haven't actually seen a photo of what it would look like. So I think that might be helpful.
Thank you. Other comments? Please.
The process of making motions and everything, I think we need to do some homework on how to follow Robert's Rules of Order. But first, pertaining to the electronic sign, I think we really need to seriously think about who is, what is the cost to maintain it? If you notice, Casino took down their digital signs because if it got broken, if it gets, a rock hits it, breaks, whatever, that is an expense then that we are taking on. So I think there's still some more discussion that needs to be had on this, and that this should not be a vote to approve or not approve it, but it should be considered as a topic of discussion that's presented to the new board to consider moving forward. Thank you.
Point of information.
If this motion is adopted, will the association be required to switch the signs to digital?
No. Section 4 of the bylaws specifically state that decisions made at the annual meeting are not binding on the association. However, they're treated as a recommendation from the membership. So if it passes, it will be a recommendation from the membership to the board for further consideration. If it doesn't pass, obviously it wouldn't be moved forward to the board. But again, Section 4 of the bylaws specifically state that decisions made at an annual meeting are not binding on the association until they're voted on by the board. Other discussion on this topic? Seeing none, I will close the floor for discussion and call the question. Given that we have people online and given that we have people here in the room, I'm going to call for a hand count, assuming, and Tom, I believe everybody in this room is valid, has a vote. All right, so there's no issue there. So all those in favor of requiring the electronic signs as stated in the motion, please raise your hand.
Yeah. Six.
You could, however, yeah. However, remember, this is not a board meeting per se, but so
in favor, what was, could you repeat the question?
Motion as stated said that they wanted to take the sign at the north gate and make it a digital sign. Okay, but including the expenses and long-term maintenance for said. So again, all those in favor of that particular motion, please raise your hand. Can we take a count, please?
Fine, thank you. 18 that I see. Online.
With the hand raised, 23, okay. All those opposed to the motion, please raise your hand. At the risk of prolonging the meeting, it looks like the opposition is in favor of not moving forward this motion, so the motion does not carry. Other new business. Please step forward and make your motion. And again, please be advised that if it's going to be a discussion topic, we'd like to reserve that for public comments.
Well, I live in south of the Pines, but when we go into the Atlantic Medical Center, we find that the traffic pattern is becoming difficult for everybody.
Sir, you need to.
Oh, the motion is to
Need to make a
make
motion.
2 lanes out of North Ocean Pines over that bridge, rather than having everyone line up all the way back to wherever to try to get out of Ocean Pines, to come back onto Racetrack Road to go east.
Right.
For long-term consideration, not immediately, but I see it coming.
All right. So restating the motion succinctly, you are advocating for an additional lane across the North Gate Bridge leading out to Route 589. Is that correct?
Yes,
Okay.
to avoid that expensive backup.
Is there a second to that motion?
Yeah.
Second. Discussion. You have the floor for discussion if you like.
You feel that that's a conducive way to look for the future of the North Gate exit?
I'm not question and answer, just make your statement and we'll call on others as they.
I'm just looking for everybody else to agree with that, because the line does go way back into the neighborhood. And eventually the traffic will continue on Racetrack Road to get into the North Gate, to make that U to come out of the neighborhood. It's just backing up, where I think it's something that we should look at for the future. No other second opinion?
Thank you. Thank you. We'll take care of it. Thank you. Other discussion? Please.
Okay, so is the motion that you are presenting to actually vote and say yes or no on an extra lane right now? Because that's really more of a presentation point that needs to have further discussion, or, you know, is it feasible? Will the state do it on that road? All that kind of stuff. You know, so our motion that's on the floor is saying one thing, but the discussion point is saying, I think this is a topic we need to discuss. So that is a different type of request. Does that make sense? Because
can we amend the motion?
Stand by, stand by, stand by.
yes, you could amend the motion, but
Yeah, okay, understand, okay? There's a difference between
a public comment and a
public,
motion.
exactly, public comment and a motion. A motion requires a decision to take action, okay? It doesn't, you don't need a motion to bring a topic up for discussion, okay? That can be done anytime in any form, whether it be email, a phone call, meeting an advisory committee, and so on and so forth. So just as a point of order, unless there's some specific action that needs to be taken based on the topic and the sentiment of the membership, then treat it as either a public comment or a future recommendation that you make by a different channel.
Because otherwise, when you have a motion on the floor, you don't vote on that particular motion, it's in willy-nilly land. You know what I mean? It's not, you have to close it out. You have to finish it. But if it's more of a topic that needs further discussion and presentation and all of that, then you don't want to have your motion say that. Now, the originator should be able to amend the motion to clarify that he would like it to be a topic for the new board to discuss.
Point of order, would you consider withdrawing the motion based on that particular information and bringing it up again as a point of topic going forward?
Yes, I would like to have a topic on the floor.
Very good. Okay. Thank you very much for the input. I will consider the motion withdrawn from the floor with the idea that that topic can be brought up by different channels going forward. Fair enough? Okay. Other new business? Ma'am. Remember, please bring in a form of a motion that requires action.
I'd like to bring up a motion to vote on putting a referendum out to change our bylaws to fine violators of unresolved violations on the properties.
Okay. Is there a second? All right.
2.5 years ago, my husband and I moved here, and we were on the board of an HOA where we lived. And that was one of the positives about moving here, is that there were rules. When we moved here, there was 3 junk cars within 3 houses of us on different properties. Today, there are 7. The art committee has made recommendations to this board to try and get that cleared and fixed up and fines, whatever we have to do to get this to stop. However, the board's only done 1 reading on this. We follow the guidelines. We contacted the board, CPI, I guess. They sent a letter. The next thing that happened is they sent a second letter. And this past April, it finally got pushed to go to court. It still doesn't have a court date. And I've heard that it's backed up because of COVID. However, if you look at the violations list on the art reviews list, it's all in code. You have to know, you have to go to Maryland Property Search, you have to look up the address, you have to look at the parcel number, then you have to look at the parcel number and connect it to the violation list in whatever division, the subdivision you live in. That's the only way you get to find it. Once you find it, you see things like first letter, second letter, unresolved. What happens to unresolved? There is a vehicle that has been sitting on property 3 houses down from us for 8 years. They sent them a letter that it was, their tag was expired. So they went and got their tag renewed as a historic car. It's an old rabbit, sits in the woods, flat tires, and guess what? They removed the violation. Now the guy's got another car. No tags that are expired, flat tires. Across the street, we have 5 cars parked on the street, a dumpster in the yard, and one of those cars is expired. This is what my street looks like. I will tell you that my husband and I drove down your street. We drove down your street and your street and your street. And guess what? Only Mr. Farr Street has major violations 2 houses down from him. That's upsetting. The other thing that's upsetting is that everybody's talking about the key issues that they've addressed. And listen, we love this place. We think you guys have done a tremendous job. But here's what's happening. My investment, my children's inheritance, these residents are robbing my children of their inheritance because the value of my property is being reduced every day because
we are not cleaning up the properties. So at this point, I'm asking, because I think that it's the only way, is we have to send a referendum out. We have to vote on applying a fine to those people and figure out how to resolve the issue. It's been an ongoing issue for many years, and it's still not been taken care of. And to me, it's as important as the golf course, the yacht club, and anything else we do. We have the extra money. I'm willing to pay $25 more a month if it means paying for attorneys. We have the extra money, whatever it takes. But I am tired of it not being resolved and my property value going down daily.
That's a problem. I understood the motion, to be a motion, to raise a referendum question on the place where. I believe the motion is out.
As certainly been advised by our parliamentarian, the motion is out of order in the format that it's in right now. I ask that you use other channels to move that particular perspective forward.
But that's what you do all the time. You just move it around and you do nothing about it. Sorry if I'm out of order, but it's the truth.
I'll allow one vote, please.
We have gone through the proper channels. We have done everything they have said. We have followed up on these constantly. Tell me it takes a vote to send out a referendum. And you're telling me that this isn't, we're voting. This is what we want to do. We want to vote on sending out a referendum.
Member of the association can propose a referendum in the appropriate way, and you'll have to consult bylaws. This is.
Order, please. Let's not get out of order. The information's been passed along. Please take the appropriate measures. So the motion is no longer on the floor. Entertain any other motions on the floor under new business. Please.
What I said was the process for bringing a referendum to a vote is. The process for bringing a referendum to a vote is set forth in the bylaws, and you all have to consult the bylaws in that regard. The annual meeting during new business is not an appropriate time to make a motion to propose a referendum question. That's done differently, and it's done pursuant to the bylaws, and there's a section in the bylaws that deals with it.
What section is that?
I don't have that with me right now.
I don't have the section, but I would refer to both sections 3 and section 4 with regard to voting. I think voting referendums is in section 4.
So, tell them to put it through info.
Yeah. Very good, thank you. Yeah. Please send your request to, as John suggested and recommended, info@oceanpines.org, and John and his team will respond with the appropriate information. All right, the floor is still open for new business. Seeing no more new business, I will close the floor for new business and move into the next item. That is the election committee report and validation of the election. Tom.
Please don't stop. Please don't stop. Hey, good morning. It's encouraging to see the participation this morning. And I'll give you some statistics. 2,993 ballots, which is 89 more than last year. We're at 38.4%, which is good. Oh, yeah. 2,993 ballots, valid ballots. 38.4%. And we exceeded last year's count by 89 ballots. As chair of the elections committee, it's my pleasure to announce and validate the results of the 2023 election for the Ocean Pines Board of Directors. First, allow me to introduce the members of the elections committee. George Alston. George is out there. Tom Schwartz. Schwartz is with us today. Nancy Osborne. And Steve Ransom. On August 24th, the elections committee reported the results of ballot counting in the election. In accordance with OPA bylaws, 2 candidates receiving the higher numbers of votes shall be elected to 3-year terms. The 3rd place candidate will fulfill the remaining term of past director Frank Daly for 1 year. Therefore, candidates John Latham and Elaine Brady have been elected to 3-year terms, and candidate Jeff Eager has been elected to a 1-year term. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Please record that the board accepts the results presented by the elections committee. Next item on the agenda is public comments. Please limit your time to 5 minutes. The floor is now open for public comments.
I'm the timekeeper, and each person will have 5 minutes, and I will just simply put my hand up when that time expires.
I was just wondering, I'd like the name of the person that sends out the violations codes. That sends out the little letters you get in the mail. And everyone give me their name.
Can't hear you.
No,
Be close to the mics.
I said, I'm wondering if I can find out the name of the person that sent out the violation letters to people. Do we know that? Is it 1 person? Is it 7 people?
But he's not the answer.
Several people.
All right, thank you. I'll find out.
Other public comments? Ma'am?
Yes. Turn on the microphone a little bit, so not as tall as it is. I have a limit, which you said, sir, when I'll bring your teeth on.
I don't have one.
Okay, 2 questions. It goes pertain to the yacht club pool. Well, actually, first one is not. I just wanted to ask, we used to, a while ago, we have plenty of visitors throughout our summertime. If we could entertain the possibility of getting guest passes for the pools again, as we did before. And because they've been outstanding, I would like to request that we readdress those so that we do have guests, that we can pay for guest passes, so we can have guest passes for the pools. The other thing is, it's not a very popular question, but I don't want to be booed off stage as Governor Christie did at the debate. So the question is pertaining to the yacht club. And it is the yacht club used to be a adult only pool, okay? And I know, and what it is I know there was a legal situation involved a few years ago where we had to bring in children. Correct me if I'm wrong, we do have 5 pools here within Ocean Heights area. And we see a lot of children coming into the pool. I'm tired of being slapped, hit, splashed, yelled at, screamed at, stepped on by young children. And there is, and the issue is to serve food. So what my family does is we order food and we take it next door to the monkey pool where there's lots of children and you can do whatever you want. And a lot of people say, okay, we want to drink, you know, well, anybody that is bringing their children to the yacht club pool and drinking possibly excessive should probably not bring their children to the pool anyway, okay? So what I am entertaining is that, you know, I'm tired of hearing the lifeguards constantly having to tell the children, stop jumping, stop splashing, get off the ropes. And I'm tired of what I just said being, you know, screaming and then hearing all those kind of things. So what I am entertaining is the fact, the request is that we bring it back to a adult only pool. And bring, if you want to have food, you order your food and you bring it next door to the monthly pool and have a good time.
Other public comments? Gentlemen.
I'm Roger from Cape Town Road, and I have my own company, and I've been profitable in business for over 40 years. And I use QuickBooks to do my accounting. Once a month, my bookkeeper sends our monthly statement to our CPA in Bethesda, Maryland, who does our, you know, general ledgers and all that. But I read with a question in my mind. I read about North Star, and we're paying like $10,000 to research what kind of computer program we should use. You can go to Staples and buy QuickBooks, a wholesale manufacturer, for $2,000. So I'm not a computer guy, I'm a sales guy, but I've always made money. And I deal with companies like General Electric, Department of Defense, DuPont, Air Products, all those kind of companies. A lot of them use QuickBooks. Well, why do we use North Star?
At the risk, so this is one of the dilemmas of having public comments, that they turn into a question and answer session, which a lot of times doesn't lead to benefit. However, I will offer that that decision was made several years ago, and the breadth of what North Star can do, it's not just a financial system. You know, it's the accounting system, it is the asset system, it is the access system for all of our assets, keeps names, membership, and so on and so forth. So it's not just used for finance. So it's kind of an apples to oranges comparison, saying QuickBooks and North Star would be.
QuickBooks isn't enough, thing. What you're saying
This is not.
Okay.
Because the North Star system is used throughout the entire operational environment of the commercial environment.
I know companies that are like multi-million-dollar companies, and they're all based on QuickBooks, and they have employees. They have, okay. All right. All right. I make more money.
I would like to address the traffic coming out of the North Gate. I live here full time. Most of the traffic problem during the summertime. Okay, and if the people would stay off their phones while they're parked in traffic, not be a huge gap. I was in line the other day, and 23 people got out because everybody was like a half a car length behind the guy in front of me. All right, not 4, not 5. And to have a second lane, you're gonna create a traffic problem when the people in the lane supposedly turning left, all of a sudden decide, oh, I have to go north. Like the guy did the other day in front of me. He waited until he got right to the light and turned right. Why? Because you're not paying attention to what you're doing. And we do not need a second lane, because that's what will happen. You go in this left lane, will decide he needs to get the right lane and accidents will happen. And the other thing I'd like to address, and being we have a new police chief, I'd like to hear from him on what he's gonna do at the speed in all Ocean Congress. I live on Windjammer. You take your life in your hands between 7 and 9 in the morning, 5 and 6 in the evening, any time of the year. Because they know the police is not patrolling Windjammer. The last time I saw a police car on Windjammer was 2 years ago. He parked up where Cape Town tees into Windjammer, and he turned to the right and parked right there. I mean, Nobody parks there. Everybody in Windjammer knows that. And they say, oh, you can see them for like 4 blocks away. Oh, please go. I'll slow down. I had a Worcester County Sheriff lived next door to me. The first week he was there, he had his car parked in the driveway. You see the brake lights light up. And then they realized he lives there. He's not going to give him a ticket. And away they go. Thank you.
Public comments.
Before I go to speak. And I had a lot of talking today. The first thing I want to say is, the last year was an outstanding year for the board. I've been here 32 years. There was no fighting or arguing. You and the general manager did a lot of good for Ocean Pine. I want to thank you for that. I know for 7 years, you never had any arguments, and you never sent the police to my house. Now, the first thing I want, we had a good election, we had some problems the last year. We got 8,400 houses in Ocean Pine. And the paper wrote, you all sent it out 7,400 comments. What happened to the other 1,000 people? Now, this is the question, and I know you're going to be on that board. A lot of people ask me, we got people that pay their dues at monthly payments. If these people pay their dues before the 1st of May, I like to see them put these people that they can vote. In the United States, we vote for everything. There's many people that own taxes to the government, they still can pay. Here in Ocean Pine, we deny these people rights. And for the rest, I had a good time over here. I get old, and I really enjoyed what you did. For the last 3 years, your year was outstanding. We had a lot of problems to do just before. Thank you.
For the record, I have a lot of help. That needs to be said.
Hi, I'm Cindy Hoffman, and I'm on Water Green Road. I'm a reporter, but not in this capacity. So I walk my dog frequently down Clubhouse Road, and I am constantly overwhelmed by the speed on Clubhouse Road. So I'm wondering if there's any way we can get a sign, some of you can see this front, Tim. I'd like to get a sign like that on the road, because we have a lot of kids with bikes and people walking their dogs like myself and adults on bikes that go down the road a lot. And we're constantly overrun by the speeders that are going at least 35 miles an hour, probably to get to the problem.
Thank you.
Other comments?
I think it's still morning, right? My name is Laura Pangratz. I live at 2 Harpoon Road. I am speaking as a resident, and owner. But I would like to thank all of the leading directors for their time and effort and all that they have done and their support of and working as a team. I'd like to congratulate the new directors coming on board. I would also like to recommend that and remind all of us that we elected our directors to be neutral, to be advocating for things that benefit all of us as a community, not just of what we might personally think is good for the community, but what really will be good for the community, and work together And I hope every one of our directors is confident enough to have their own opinions and have their own thoughts and not have votes look like they're just, one group does one thing, one group does another thing. It should all be equal opportunity here. As far as the person, I don't know if she's still here, if she has questions about the referendum process and all of that, you can reach out to me as well. I'm under the committees, under bylaws. I am the chairperson. I do not have a good memory I can't spit out the names, the numbers of each one like our past chairperson could do. I'm not that good yet. But I will be glad to, find a section for you and help you proceed with that as well. Even if you email the info email, and Mr. Viola can forward that to us as well. But we've come a long way. We're getting better at working together and not having the drama and the dramatics take away from the business. We are a business. I know you don't think I'm probably a little, too involved in Robert's rules, but I come from a background of running meetings and things like that. And it just makes it easier if we fully understand how to use Robert's rules to our benefit. So I encourage our directors and our parliamentarians and whoever is helping with all of that to know how to use them to our benefit. It helps keep everything running smoothly. And if you are really having insomnia, you can watch the bylaws meetings on YouTube. We are a committee that meets monthly, sometimes every 2 weeks, depending on how much work we have to do. And we are all volunteers and we all have things that are going on in our lives. And one last comment is this is a caring community. I lost my son 9 months ago. I have spoken about that before. And you all have been so supportive. The directors have been understanding when we had to cancel a meeting. But let's remember, we can bring that caringness into all of our topics, okay? And I'm using my brief to volunteer still, because I am a chronic volunteer at the local hospital here where my son passed as a chaplain. So I'm on call today. So if my phone rings, I have to step out. But I want you to know that we can be the great community that we have here and be supportive of one another, even if we don't agree with, the same opinions on every topic. Okay, so have a great year for the new board. Looking forward to it.
Public comments.
Yeah, I just would like to ask one question.
Take it offline. Yeah, please take it offline.
Yeah, my name's Don Boger. I live on Clubhouse Drive. I just have one comment. First of all, congratulations to all the new board members. I'm not sure what you guys have to do because this guy's got this place running like a top. So you guys can adjourn until next year. We'll come back next year if I can believe. But anyway, I just had one comment. And you did bring this up earlier about how the advisory committees are volunteers, and I absolutely appreciate that, and they are volunteers, and it's great that they are. But I think some of the committees need to understand what the word advisory means. They're not in charge. They advise. They don't tell departments what to do. It's my understanding we're getting ready to lose a pretty good employee over that, and that needs to change.
Other comments?
I'm Blanche Stacy, White Horse Drive. I'm just seeing something swept aside, and I don't like to see that. We have an attorney here who's earning a fee, and he should help what's going on in Ocean Pines. The issue with the parked cars that are devaluing properties has gone on for too long. This is a time when he can tell us the proper way to do it. He should give direction to the woman so she knows what to do. So let's find out what's the real way to handle the issue.
Other public comments? Seeing none, I'll close the floor for public comments, and I will entertain the motion for adjournment. Was there a second? All in favor? Thank you everyone for attending.